Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to Soulful Sessions with Rory, the podcast where we dive deep inside the matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. And I am your host, Rory, and I am thrilled to embark on this journey with each and every one of you. Soulful Sessions with Rory is your safe space for introspection, inspiration, and maybe even a little revelation. So whether you're sipping your morning coffee or winding down after a long day of work, you're in the right place. But before we dive into today's soulful exploration, I want to remind you that Soulful Sessions with Rory, though we may touch on some profound topics and meaningful discussions, it's important that we approach our conversations with an open heart and a little bit of curiosity. Life is a journey, and so is this podcast. We'll navigate the realms of self-discovery, spirituality, and personal growth. But remember, the insights we share here are not a substitute for professional advice or guidance. Always consult with the appropriate professionals regarding your unique circumstances. So whether you're a seasoned seeker or just dipping your toes into the waters of self-exploration, get ready for a blend of wisdom, laughter, and a touch of magic in each episode of Soulful Sessions with Rory. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a soulful moment. Follow me on Instagram at Soulful Explorer, Facebook, Listening Veteran Life Coach, and on Snapchat, Rory Space Soulful Explorer with 2 L's to stay connected, share your thoughts, and be a part of this incredible community. Now let the journey begin. Sit back, relax, and let's fill our souls together. On today's episode of Soulful Sessions with Rory, we are discussing inappropriate sexual relationships with people of power. Boom. Now, let me tell you something. That is such a tricky topic because first we got to identify what do we mean by people of power. Now, power is not what you think. It's not somebody that is your supervisor or somebody that is your pastor or your nurse, your doctor, your business advisor, your lawyer. See, I'm not talking about their careers. I'm talking about the power they have over you with their words, with their actions. People you trust. Because when you look at the bigger picture, it goes back to people you trust, people that made you feel comfortable. And that's where the power comes in. Now, I don't know who need to hear this, but you have to stop having sex with a person that controls you. Now, that's just an opinion. That doesn't mean it's a fact, just my opinion. Because if that person is controlling you, do they really have your best interest at heart? Now, sometimes, let's be real, some of us can be a little delusional where we create a relationship with someone who doesn't have a relationship with us. And that is so super important to pay attention to as well. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about having inappropriate sexual relationships with people of power. So what does it do when you have this type of relationship? So first thing I think about is the emotional distress that it can cause you. In that moment of physical intimacy, it's a euphoria. You're enjoying yourself. It's great. The sex is good. They're making you feel special and wonderful. And then it's done. And when it's done, you have to deal with the doubt. You have to deal with the shame. You have to deal with everything else that's coupled with that. And then you're questioning, does this person really love me? Do they like me? Or you might be saying, okay, well, I got what I needed. I'm good. But what do you deserve? And that could be the question that you're asking yourself, and that can also lead to trust issues, depression and anxiety. It can lead to relationship strain, because if you have another relationship with someone else, even if it's not sexual, but you're trying to build, that sexual relationship can interfere with that, identity conflicts. Who are you? Because sometimes we start looking at this person as trying to get them to identify with us. It can also cause post-traumatic stress. People don't realize how traumatizing an inappropriate sexual relationship can be, especially if it's one that you feel forced. And force doesn't mean physically forcing themselves on you. Force can be just slight of words, quid pro quo. There's so many different things. And let's talk about using it as an addiction coping mechanism. That's why they say you should never, when you're in an addiction group, like have a relationship with another person who's also an addict or things like that, because you're just substituting one addiction for another. So let's talk about these different areas and address why you shouldn't have an inappropriate sexual relationship with someone. So let me say this as well. I love sex. There's nothing wrong with sex. I think it's great. I'm not here to Bible thump and say, oh, well, fornication is wrong. No, I'm not judging, not even a little bit. What I am doing is offering just a little advice to those people who feel they may need it. Because you may have been in a relationship with someone, that is in a supervisory position, or that is your pastor, that is your nurse, that could be a doctor, and I'm not just talking a woman who's having an inappropriate relationship with a man. I'm talking men who are having inappropriate relationships with women, because just as manipulating men can be, so can women, where you feel forced for whatever reason to have sex with this person. And that force is not a physical force. Sometimes it's a mental force. It's like, this person, if I don't do this, then I'm not going to get this from them. And people always think it's about money. Sometimes it's something simple, such as friendship. Sometimes it's something simple, just as companionship. I like hanging out with this guy, and, he really makes me feel great, but I don't want to sleep with him. But if I stop sleeping with him, he's not going to hang around me anymore. I like hanging out with this girl. She cool and everything, but she want me to sleep with her. And if I don't entertain that, then she's really not trying to be my friend, So we don't recognize, or we do recognize, that it's almost like an exchange, and you got to ask yourself, because that's the person that matters the most. Am I having sexual relations with this person because I desire to, or am I trying to prevent from losing them? And that's what's important. Is it something I want to do, or was it something that I was manipulated into doing? Because if you go back, I want you to think back to, how did it start? How did you initially start sleeping with the person that you're sleeping with, that the relationship is inappropriate? Number one, did they make you feel comfortable? Did they make you feel loved? Did they make you feel wanted? Did they tell you that, hey, we're in the same boat, we're having the same issues? Because if it's an extramarital affair, that was a tongue twister. If it's an extramarital affair, then you got to ask yourself, who initiated it? Who started it? Was it you? Were you in a space and now you're no longer in that space, but you value the friendship? Was it a pastor that was just simply trying to give you a good word? Could have been a female pastor and a male member. So let's not just put it off on gender. Was it something that they knew about you and you didn't want it to get out, and so you're using it to appease them? You are in control of your life. Nobody can tell you who you are. Sex does not define you. If you find yourself in that position where you just wanted to have sex all the time because you just want to feel loved, then you need to build that with someone for you. That's just my opinion. You may be okay with just having sex, and I'm not taking that away from you, but this is about the people that feel like it's inappropriate. So let's talk about the emotional distress that it can cause. It can lead to feelings of guilt, shame, anxiety, depression, and just become this huge mental burden when you're having sex with someone that, is inappropriate. And the inappropriate, by the way, is your definition, not mine. Because I can't tell you what's inappropriate for you. But when you're having sexual relationship with someone that's inappropriate for you, it can lead to guilt, shame. You can chastise yourself over and over again. So it can cause so much emotional distress that it can really put you out there in a bad way. So be aware of that. So if you feel moments of guilt or shame, and that famous walk of shame afterwards where you had sex with somebody and you're leaving their home or you're leaving the hotel room, if you don't feel good about yourself, that's a sign, in my opinion. You know, if you call them later that day and it feels forced or awkward, or if you're talking to them and they just seem disinterested now that you all have been intimate, there's something going on with you, not them. Why? Because you're the one that's having the feelings, so you got to address your feelings. Are they legitimate feelings? Is this person not on the same page that you're on? And then you got to ask yourself, well, why didn't I take the time to figure out what page they were on? Because you chose to serve the flesh. Now, again, I am not against sex. I love sex. I'm telling you, I love it. But what I am against is not understanding who you are and what you or how you desire it. So if you're having a relationship with someone sexually that you really don't want because it doesn't make you feel comfortable anymore, it doesn't make you feel loved or wanted, then there are the steps that you should take, and we'll get into those. When you're having sex with someone and it's inappropriate, this can definitely lead to trust issues. Not just trust issues with that person, but everything and everybody around you. So whether it happened years ago or whether it happened now or it's happening now, you're going to constantly question, what do people really want from you? Like, what is their agenda? You know, and you'll stop trusting people because of something that happened or that's happening in your life. So it's affecting your trust system. And I dare use the word paranoid. Makes you feel a little paranoid because you are now can't even enjoy simple things because you're questioning, like, is this person trying to have this kind of relationship with me too? You know, whether it be a man or a woman, you're now questioning everybody's sexuality because of the inappropriate situation that you're in. And that's not good for you, which also can lead to depression and anxiety. You know, the depression piece, whereas you no longer want to do the things that you enjoy, it's almost like your brain has put you on standby for this person. The anxiety is, what if they don't want you anymore? What if they don't want that friendship anymore? Or better yet, the anxiety could be anticipating that they're going to call you for that very reason, or that they're not going to call you for that very reason. So there's a variety of emotions that are taking place that you may not understand because you're having this inappropriate sexual relationship with this person and they're taking advantage of you, or you're allowing them to take advantage of you because you're still dealing with your own self-worth and your self-efficacy. Because in those moments, you feel like you're the best person in the world. They make you feel loved and wanted. But we're going to get into that. Self-esteem is affected because, going back to the love and wanted, the self-esteem that you get, or the boost in your self-esteem that you get from someone making love to you, or having sex with you, the euphoria, you know, the chemicals that are created, the endorphins, they make you feel like you're on top of the world. So for that moment, it can boost your self-esteem. But what we don't consider is what happens when they don't call. What happens when you call them and their response is not one that you're looking for? What happens when you feel neglected and ignored by that person, or they shoo you, or you can't even talk about your relationship in public because you're ashamed, you're guilty? So the euphoria goes away. So it's just like a drug. You want to get it again. So that might be the reason you keep going back. But at some point, you're going to have to go through withdrawals. You're going to have to let go. Go through your withdrawal so you can overcome your addiction. Your addiction to the vagina, your addiction to the peen, whichever one. You know, and none of us are perfect. Don't be ashamed for being human and being in this position. Instead, you identify what you're going through and you go through it. Keyword, through. You walk away, but we'll get into that. Now, if you're in a relationship with someone else and you're still sleeping with this other person, and it's causing more problems in your relationship because that person that you're sleeping with is making you feel loved and wanted, have the real conversation with your significant other. Tell them what you need to feel loved and wanted. And if they're unwilling to do that, you got a bigger problem. First off, well, going back to the esteem piece, you have to learn to love yourself unconditionally. How else are people going to know how to love you if you don't love yourself? Show them how you want to be loved. And if the person you're having that inappropriate relationship with is incapable of love because they don't love themselves, you need to reevaluate your decision making and make some other decisions. The other problem you can run into is identity conflict. While you may be sleeping with this one person and married to another, or having a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship with another, or a relationship, let's say that, with another person, but you're still intimate with this other person, you literally can be living on two fronts and not know who you are. Because you could be a loving husband to your wife and then be a pimp to this other woman, or be a loving husband to your wife and a boyfriend to a boyfriend. Or you could be a loving wife to your husband and a girlfriend to a girlfriend. So you could have this identity crisis because it's not about the sexuality, but it's about who do you want to be? What does this other person allow you to become that you can't be with your significant other? And then that goes back to the shame, the guilt, the depression, the anxiety. So you got to identify with who you are. And if you can identify with who you are, it can make things a lot easier for you. And it's not about your sexuality, but it's about what you're desiring in a relationship with people. Be careful too, because if this was a forced relationship, this can cause a lot of post-traumatic stress. It can put you in a position of hopelessness. It could put you in a position of fearing for your life. So you got to be really careful. And at some point, you got to say no more. This is not what you want. This is not who you're choosing to be. You are in more control than you think. And when you decide what you want for your life, you take it. You be it. Choose you before you choose anybody else. If you had a problem with drugs, alcohol, popping pills, anything, you have to ask yourself, am I now switching my drug of choice to sex? Because I'm having sex with people, persons, or whatever inappropriately that I know are not healthy for me mentally, not healthy for me physically. But that's only something you can decide, because the truth is you don't have a problem until you say you have a problem. All I know is that today it was put on my heart to say this message. You deserve better. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be wanted. You deserve to have a healthy and wholesome sexual relationship with someone. I'm not saying don't have a relationship. All of this is going to go back to, how do you identify with you? It's going to go back to your self-esteem. It's going to go back to your self-efficacy. It's going to go back to, how do you love on you? If you're having an inappropriate sexual relationship with someone who doesn't treat you as good as you treat yourself, walk away. Just walk away. Brother, sister, get out of that situation. You deserve better. People will tell you that they love you right before they sleep with you. How often do you hear it after they sleep with you? How much love is there once everybody has had an orgasm? I'm just curious. And it shouldn't be something you have to ask for unless it's your love language and not theirs. So my advice to you, well, not my advice, let's just say now, if you want to get out of this situation where you are giving your body and your mind to someone and you feel like you're being manipulated or you're being used, or you even feel like it's unhealthy for you, the first thing you got to do is be your own coach. You have to tell yourself every day what you desire and what you deserve. And eventually your brain will say, okay, something's not looking right. Because if this is what I desire and this is what I deserve, why am I getting this? I recently ate a bowl of oatmeal, but it wasn't, oatmeal from the little carton thingy. It was the flavored oatmeal. It didn't taste right. It didn't taste right because I had been eating whole oats for quite some time, but I wanted a little something to my oatmeal. But see, when I made the whole oats, I put fresh blueberries in them. I put in, the water, boiled the water and everything else, add a little bit of honey or agave. But when I tried this powdered rendition of whatever this was supposed to be, it didn't taste the same. So it gave me a bad taste in my mouth. So I said, no, I don't want to do this. You have to make physical changes first in order to change how you feel about something. Because I don't care if that person makes you feel great, they make you feel loved. It's only for a moment. You have the opportunity to tell yourself every single day how much you love you. You have the opportunity every single day to do something nice for yourself. You have an opportunity every single day to appreciate you. That person that you're having an inappropriate sexual relationship with, they don't love you. Well, let me not say that. Maybe they do love you, but maybe they don't care about you as much as they care about themselves. Just something to think about. So I want to leave you with this. Put you first and accept what you desire and deserve and accept nothing less. I want you to have an amazing day and keep shining.